You want to know how much money you can actually make in the Canadian Forces? Let's break it down. We'll talk about the pay differences in NCMs, officers, from new private to corporal, from officer cadet to captain. We'll even dive into the SAR Techs pay, or search and rescue technicians, and a little bit into the SOF pay, or as a lot of you know it as, special forces. Don't worry, I'm going to keep this short, straight to the point, and brutally honest. Starting off as a brand new private in the Canadian Forces, expect to make around $43,000 a year. That's right out of basic. Nothing glamorous, nothing flashy, but remember, you're going to be living in shacks while you're on these courses, and all of your food is going to come from the mess hall, so your cost of living is extremely low. Once you finish all of your training and you finally find yourself at a regiment, as a new private, you can expect to make around $63,000 a year. This is after a couple years at the unit, of course, and if you don't get promoted to corporal first. I just want to point something out. As a new private posted to a unit, you have the option to either live in single quarters, which is basically shacks, or you can apply for a PMQ. Both are an extremely low cost of living. I'm in a PMQ right now. PMQ stands for Private Military Quarters. It's a 4-bedroom PMQ. I've got my whole family in here, and it costs us less than $850 a month. You won't find that anywhere else in Canada. After about 3 to 4 years in the military, assuming you're competent and progressing, you're going to get promoted to the rank of corporal. It's almost inevitable. That rank comes to you regardless, as long as you're not getting in trouble. Corporals can make anywhere from $74,000 to $79,000 a year. And this is without any kind of bonuses, specialty pays, deployments, or claims. We'll talk about those in a little bit, but those extras can add a big boost to your salary at the end of the year. As a corporal, you're now one of the seniors of the working ranks on the ground. If you've had some time in as a corporal, you're likely getting ready to transition into a leadership role and be placed onto your PLQ. But otherwise, a corporal is pretty much just a private who knows their stuff. Officers. Now, if you take the officer route, of course, these guys generally do have degrees, so there is some potential for more salary growth within this route. Whether RMC, DEO, or direct entry plan, their salary is going to start around $42,000 to $54,000 for an officer cadet. After about 4 to 5 years, you're probably a lieutenant making around $74,000 to $89,000 a year, and you're now getting ready to be promoted to the rank of captain. As a captain, you can make anywhere from $94,000 to $124,000 a year, again, without any bonuses, claims, or specialties. Generally, the biggest pay increases you'll see are from private to corporal and lieutenant to captain. There are a few more big pay increases as you get later in the ranks, but you've got years before you have to worry about that. Alright, let's talk about some of the elite trades. SAR Techs and Special Forces. SAR Techs, or Search and Rescue Technicians, are some of the highest paid NCMs of the Canadian Forces. They're a non-combative role, but they have both an extremely demanding and an extremely dangerous job, with a whole plethora of qualifications that skyrocket their salaries so high. To become a SAR Tech, you need to already be a member of the Canadian Forces. Once you complete SAR Tech training, you're likely going to go in as the rank of corporal. As a corporal in the SAR Techs, you can expect to make a range of $120,000 to $160,000 a year. Between jump pay, field pay, and different allowances, this makes their salaries far higher than most of the Canadian Forces. And for good reason. These guys are like special forces without the weapons. Now, for the soft guys. From what you can find on the Canadian Forces website, base pay starts pretty high, from $98,000 to $107,000 a year. And again, this is without any allowances, incidentals, claims. They don't specify what types of allowances, incidentals, or claims that the operators or assaulters do get. Generally, that world is kept pretty secretive within the Canadian Forces. But I can imagine they're clearing much more than $150,000, maybe $200,000 a year or more, depending on the readiness level, claims, missions, and other kind of incidentals that they may get. The average supporter within SOF makes around $115,000 a year. That's with your allowances, incidentals, and claims. Sometimes a little more. And by a supporter, I mean you can be a recruiter within SOF and still be making that money as a corporal. Let's talk about allowances. This extra pay, it does add up. Regular members get a base salary, but this is where we can greatly increase how much we take home at the end of the year. If you're someone who's attached to a field unit or a unit that's actively deployable, you're going to get what's called LDA. Depending on how many years you've been receiving LDA, you're going to be making anywhere from $400 to $700 a month. If you aren't part of a field unit, you can still get what's called field pay if you go to the field. For example, if you're part of the school and you have to go to the field for a week, they're going to give you a daily allowance for being in the field. You have jump pay. If you're part of a jump squadron or a jump troop and you're holding an operational jump position, then you're going to get jump pay. But again, you need to be holding that jump position, not just have the course. Jump pay is around $220 a month or a little more for qualified guys in the position. Dive pay. This pay is specifically for the combat divers within the combat engineers. To become a combat diver, you first need to be a combat engineer, pass their prelim, and pass their course. They deal with a whole lot of underwater demolition and beach landings. Their prelim and their course is extremely demanding, extremely tough, so because of that, they make around an extra $300 or more a month just for holding that dive position. On top of that, you have trades and units that give you things like C pay, spec pay, high readiness pay, deployment pay. The list goes on and on. If you're at a unit that's constantly on exercises, jumping, diving, deploying, those extras are going to push your take home up significantly. Even as a brand new private at the regiment, if you find yourself in a 6-month deployment, As long as you're being smart with your money while you're there, you can come home with $30,000 to $40,000 in your bank account. So here's the bottom line. You don't join the military to get rich. But if you're switched on, operational, and take your career seriously, you can make a solid living. The bonuses, benefits, and pension structure are pretty damn competitive, especially when you consider the job security and the support structure behind you. Alright, that's all for this one, guys. Let me know what you're curious about in the comments. Specialty pay, allowances, field pay, how the pay differs from reservist to reg force even, or maybe you just want a further video where I go even more into depth about the pay. I won't know unless you tell me. Really quick, if you are new to my channel, thanks for coming along first of all. If you're someone who's prepping on joining the military, or you've already joined and you plan on getting ready for a course, I've got more videos on that too. And I'm about to release another one really soon. Thanks again for coming along, guys. If this helped you out, like, comment, subscribe, and like always, see you in the next one.